Welcome to Tenacity with Sonia C, the podcast where entrepreneurs, founders, and ambitious professionals come to learn from those who have walked the path, navigating challenges and achieving success. Whether it's thriving in business, pivoting, scaling for growth, fundraising, or finding work-life balance, dealing with loneliness, adversity, or overcoming personal struggles. Our guests share the insights and strategies that have empowered them to level up. I'm your host, Sonia, and let's get started. My guest today is Jason Sherman. Jason is a seasoned entrepreneur, author, and innovator whose work is shaping the future of technology and human connection. He is the founder of Spinnr, a revolutionary app that uses AI to tackle the loneliness epidemic. And he's also the driving force behind Vengo AI, which is transforming consumer interactions. In this episode, we're diving into the resilience of entrepreneurship, exploring the growing pains, pivotal moments, and personal sacrifices that come with building a business. We'll also get Jason's take on how AI is reshaping the entrepreneurial landscape and what the future holds at the intersection of technology and human connection. Hi, Jason. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Sonia. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to speak with another fellow techie about
Yeah.
technology and entrepreneurship and startups and pivoting. It is like my favorite thing to do. And when it's with another person in technology, I get really excited and the nerd in me sort of comes out.
Nice. It's always a lot
I
of
feel
fun
like I
stuff.
feel like we understand each other, it's just
Yeah, we're
language.
already like they would say in Mean Girls, it's ESPN.
Let's get right into it. Can you walk us through your entrepreneurial journey and what inspired you to leap into entrepreneurship?
It actually started at a very early age. I was really 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, realizing that I could monetize things in my personal life, meaning selling things to students, designing my own comic book, printing it out at the school printer, and then selling it to students. Like I was
Wow.
doing these things when I was in middle school, right? So at a very early age, I realized that I could make money with ideas,
Hmm.
and it never left me. I was always in college. I started my first company. It was a music entertainment business, very successful. I started learning how to build computers and build websites, and it just evolved, over time.
Hmm.
Over time, I just kept cherry picking really cool things and industries that I really liked, like, filmmaking, music, writing, teaching, building platforms. And I just kept doing those things nonstop for 30 years. And now here I am. I do all of those things on a daily basis. And it all kind of comes together into startups.
So you've been an entrepreneur since you were 8 years old,
Pretty
basically.
much. Pretty much.
I love it. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So let's get into some of the work that you've done in your, let's call it adulthood.
sure.
So you built a company called Spinnr, which involves technology in helping people with loneliness. And then you went from building Spinnr to Vengo AI. Can you tell us a little bit about both of those companies, what they do, and how did you transition from one to the other? Because obviously there's a pivot there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really great story because if you think about what COVID-19 did and the pandemic did, it locked everybody up in their house.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, people didn't know how to meet other people. They didn't know how to get new friends. They were isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And the US Surgeon General declared a loneliness epidemic, right? This was the biggest health scare. It's worse than heart disease, right? And so we realized, okay, we have something here. We can help people connect through video so that it's more real. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
texting, texting on dating apps or whatever. And that's all there were at the time were dating apps, right? Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram, TikTok. You don't really connect to people on those platforms. You just talk to your friends and family. That's what you're doing. You're watching influencers. So we realized, no, there's nowhere you can talk to a community of people who share your hobbies and interests. My hobbies, film, music, yoga, meditation, comedy, like pets. Where could I do those things in real time with new people? So that's where
Mm.
Spinnr was born. It became this video friendship app, community app, event app, where you can talk to people in these private squads about specific topics and nothing else.
Mm.
We didn't add any ads, influencers, none of that stuff. There's nothing in there that will stop you from talking to people. So we found that over the pandemic, a couple of years, people were really enjoying the app. The only challenge we were facing, and in hindsight, I wish I had known this sooner, was investors don't want to invest in a consumer app that doesn't have millions of users right off the bat. We had tens of thousands of users, which to us was like fantastic. We're like, wow, tens of thousands of people like using our app. We're doing something right. We're helping people connect,
Mhm.
but they don't see that. You know, and the chicken and the egg scenario of getting the $1 million or $5 million or whatever from an investor to do marketing to then blow it up to millions of users. They don't want that. They want the millions of users first, then get the money, which we don't need at that time. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of a catch 22.
Nah, it's kind of meh.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's really really tough, and I think that people that are listening to this or watching this should really understand that if you're going to go into a consumer app, go in with the mindset that if you're not prepared
Mm.
to find or come up with 1 million users within a year or a couple $1 million to get that million users, you really are not going to succeed. And you should probably stop what you're doing unless you're doing it as a hobby and you're able to code it by yourself and market it by yourself and you don't need a team of people, fine, then do it. But if you're
Mhm.
planning on getting, the next big app, you're going to need money to get marketing to get those users. So something interesting happened
Mhm.
around right around when ChatGPT launched. We were already kind of implementing an AI solution to allow our community members to communicate with each other with an AI to kind of help them navigate the app and also meet new people and hobbies through the AI. When ChatGPT came out, where I'm like, well, let me just put that in there instead because it's way better. This was the end of 2021. We're talking four
Mhm.
years ago, you know? So I put it in there and it worked. It worked really, really well. And the community started using it like crazy to play games, to like find out trivia answers, to, finish arguments or discussions that they were having about certain topics. And the ChatGPT would be, and in our case, we called it Spinny. Spinny was our little AI chat friend.
Mm.
You could have one-on-one conversations with them, etc. So that was very successful. The community loved Spinny. But they started saying, well, I want to customize my own version of it. I don't want this community one. I mean, I like the community one, but I want my own version. How do I get my own version? Like
Mm.
that's just my personal spinny. And we couldn't do that. It was
Right.
the way we had built it, it was very kind of integrated with the infrastructure of the business, and we couldn't do it separate. That's when I realized, well, AI is probably going to be headed in this direction. So I better start thinking ahead. So in 2022, 2023, those right around that time, I decided to separate Spinny into a different product called Vengo AI. And the reason I called it Vengo AI was because Vengo means let's go, we're coming together, we're coming. It's a group kind of thinking. And it was also available. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna stop that. And I had to build this completely separate product on Microsoft Azure, OpenAI, NVIDIA, these big companies that gave us grants to build this idea.
Mm.
The original idea was for community members to build an AI version of themselves that they can then sell in a marketplace to other people. So
Mm.
think, coaches, influencers, people who have content, podcasters, authors. That was our initial demographic because that's who we had on the app on Spinner. But we found this is crazy, but
Mhm.
and this is where, iteration and pivoting and getting customer feedback and that whole cycle, that's where this works, right? And
Mhm.
building an MVP. We found that they weren't really the target market
Mm.
because they didn't have enough content and know-how to train the AI.
Right.
But we discovered who does? Business owners. Business owners have so much content on their blog, the interviews they're on, their company manuals, their business website, all that stuff. And we found that they're the ones who are missing out on this new thing called AI agents, which is a way for customers to talk to the AI instead of the business owner while still getting the same conversation style and answers from the AI that you would get from the business owner. That's
Mm.
what we started building with Vengo AI. And we did it in a way. that when you talk to these AI chats, these AI chat bots, agents, whatever you want to call them, they capture the customer's information in a dashboard. So you get the person's name, email, phone number, and a conversation summary that tells you what they were looking for from your business and your action that you should take. So John wants your HVAC service Saturday 2 p.m. He wants you to, clean out his furnace. So you know that John wants that on Tuesday at 2 p.m. So you call based on the lead and you close that deal within a second.
Mm,
Previously, or even right now, thousands and thousands of business owners just have a website and no way to capture that.
mm.
They're missing out on this AI future of generating leads and more revenue.
Hey, that's interesting. So I love what you said about like building an MVP, which I think is super important. And a lot of founders miss that mark where they start out building an MVP and they end up like 3 years later, they're still building out the MVP because they're like, well, I should really have that. And you like touched on a couple points like customer feedback, MVP, pivoting. So like at what point was it because the pandemic was sort of over? Like when did you really figure out I can pivot from here? And how is that pivot going?
Yeah, that's a great question. And people, people do need to know this. And I want to go take a step back for you and
Mm-hmm.
for people to hear this because this is really important. When we were first building Spinnr, we were building it fully integrated with the local colleges. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
That means that we were going to the colleges in front of roomfuls of 50 students, giving them gift cards and free food and things to do focus groups. What were they doing? They were installing the app and answering our questions and giving us feedback in the room. Myself and my, team, we were taking notes and really making sure that we got the answers we needed. We'd go back, iterate, knock out those pieces of feedback, put it out again, do another focus group, and we kept doing that over and over again. So many times that we finally felt like, okay, we have something really, really good here. And we did,
Mm-hmm.
and we still do. But we realized, like you mentioned, the pandemic ended and we tried raising money. I mean, we hit up like 100 investors. We were on so many different investor calls, and the same thing was said to us over and over again. We love what you built. It's incredible, but we need 1 million users or $1 million in revenue for us to give you our money. And we said, well, we've projected that we can get 1 million users if we get this much money from you. So it's pretty much guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Our ad spend, the way our organic growth was like 80% higher than our ad spend. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But they don't believe, right? Because that's just how investors are. So if you think investors are going to give you money because your idea is that great or your platform is that great, the real answer is they're not going to.
Yeah.
So you have to just put that in the back of your mind. They're not going to give you money unless you graduated from Stanford, worked at Google, and already had another exit somewhere else. If you have those three things, you're in. You're going to get $50 million tomorrow for a paper napkin that shows a drawing of something. They'll give you 50
Yeah.
million because that's how it is, right? But in the real world, that's not how it works. So when we realized we had to pivot was because of that whole community asking for the AI thing. And we said, well, AI is like right around the corner. It's about to blow up. We better get ahead
Mm-hmm.
of this instead of trying to chase it. So this time we didn't chase it. We were ahead of it. We built the AI, we got the grants, and we were able to, get this out there. It took us about a year to do the same thing, build an MVP, give it to like 15 different people who were business owners, get the feedback from them over and over, iterate, iterate, iterate. We did that probably for 6 months, really kind of
Mm.
fine tuning and fine tune. That's what it takes. If you want to
Yeah.
get something that really sells well, you got to build build feedback, and you keep doing that over and over again until you finally feel like, okay, now I'm not getting as much feedback. I'm getting more like, this is good. This is what we
Mm-hmm.
want. Now we're in sales mode. That's
Yeah.
where we are today. Today, we're in sales mode. We're just fully trying to sell to the people that we believe need this, want to use it, and want to generate leads on their website. And that's where we're at. While Spinner is just growing organically on its own.
Mm-hmm. And for Vengo AI, like let's talk about the what you just mentioned, which is like the misconception that if you have a good idea, you're going to go out and raise capital. I do find that, and it's not just in startups. I feel like it's particularly in tech startups, that there is this mentality. Maybe founders haven't done the due diligence. There's just this mentality around, I have a really good idea, now I'm going to go raise capital, and then you get hit in the face with, well, unless you have $1 million in revenue, we're not going to invest. So how can a startup get to that level that's required to bring in an investor without having the money? Are there other strategies that they can use to help them get there?
This question and this
Mhm.
line of thinking, I see it every day being asked on places like Reddit
Mm,
and these forums I'm in for B2B SaaS and AI startups. I'm very heavily, you know, immersed in these ecosystems and these communities and on Spinner as well. And the consensus is that, and this is the truth because I've been doing this my whole life. The
mm,
truth is, it is fairly, and I say the word easy with a little bit of, hesitation, but it's fairly easy to build an amazing platform and extremely difficult to sell it. It's
mm-hmm.
it's like night and day. You can make the best movie in the world and nobody will watch it. You can make
True.
an amazing car and nobody will buy it. You can, create a symphony and no orchestra will perform it. It's just how it is. It's very
Mm-hmm.
hard to get something out after building it. So people think the hard part, and they really do, because they say, I have this great idea. I'm going to spend, $50,000 to build it. And I'm like, you should probably spend $5,000 to build it and then $50,000 to market it.
Yeah.
And that's really the mindset people need to have, but they don't. So there really is no secret answer how to get the sales you want or the customers or the users or whatever it is you need for your platform
Mm-hmm.
or your product. If I had that answer, we would have millions of dollars in sales with Vengo AI. But
Yeah.
we are also right in the middle of sales time, right? We're trying to get sales. We have 15 customers. That's good. It's not great, but it's good. It's a good start. We're getting feedback. We're getting revenue, but we need more. We need
Mm-hmm.
1,500, customers. We need 15,000 customers. So how
Right.
do you get there? I mean, you have to have, first of all, a really good core value proposition, meaning your main feature has to be very useful.
Mm-hmm.
You need to identify a market, a very niche target market of people who need that product. Give it away for free to them and to get that feedback. Maybe they'll want to pay for it. Because here's my thinking. Here's what we're doing right now. We're giving away a 30-day free trial because we're thinking as soon as they use it for those 30 days, they're going to realize they can't live without it
Mm-hmm.
because they're getting hundreds of leads that they're otherwise not going to get. And keep in mind, these are not leads you're paying for from some spreadsheet or some list you're buying. These are people coming to your business website, talking to your AI, asking you for help. They want to buy your
Mm-hmm.
your product or your service. So you have to do that. You have to be very specific as to who you're looking for and then target those people, give it away for free, and then hopefully they can't live without it after that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I know this is going to sound a little hypocritical, but like if my business is at $1 million, do I really need the investment at this point? Can I just keep bootstrapping from the clients I have and sort of run it on my own and not give it all away?
There are very popular companies that have done that.
Right?
Right? There's so many of them. We could probably name a couple. I think Discord is one of them. There's so many popular companies that just did. Look at Craigslist,
Yeah.
one of the oldest companies in the world, and they're still like what, 50 employees? They're
Yeah.
worth like $1 billion. I mean, it's like you don't have to take money from people if you are profitable from. And you're right. If you have $1 million, then you don't need money unless you want to grow to $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get there with $1 million. If you
Yeah.
make $1 million in revenue, investors are ready to give you between 5 and 10 million, maybe even more, to blow that up to $1 billion because that's what they want. They want to 10x their money, right?
Yeah.
We've been told that if Vengo is able to reach $300,000 in annual sales, which is about $25,000 a month, not that much, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we can reach that number, they're willing to give us somewhere around $3 million. So that's our goal. We're trying to
Hmm.
reach that number so that we can go back to these investors and say, "Hey, we did what you said. Now cough it up." We'll
Right.
see. We'll see if they do. At that point, they might say, "Well, now the climate is different, and you got to make $500,000." And that's how investors are, by the way.
Yeah.
Investors will always promise you the moon and not deliver. That's just how they are.
Yeah.
So you have to always keep that in mind. Always try to make as much money as you can without investors.
Right. So let's talk about B2B and B2C because when you started Spinner, it was B2C, right? And B2C, I find, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's an easier business to go into because it's numbers based, right? If you get like 500 users, most likely they're going to tell other people, et cetera, and it could be like a chain effect. Now, B2B is a very different business, very way of marketing. So you went from having Spinner, which was B2C, to having Vengo AI, which you thought was going to be B2C, but ended up being B2B. What has been some of the challenges for you in doing that switch?
You know, I've been living this for years, and it's very interesting for you to ask in that way because you're right. I currently have both. I have a consumer app and a B2B
Hmm.
platform, and they both have been amazing, exciting, and interesting, and also frustrating and challenging at the same time. On the one hand, having a consumer app is more fun. That's
Okay.
100% clear. It's just a much more fun experience because you see people enjoying it and every day growing and growing and having a good time using this app. But there's no money in that, right?
Mm.
You can't. And people will say, well, why don't you monetize it? How do you monetize 50,000 people on a free app? You cannot. You cannot put enough ads on there to make enough money. They're not going to pay for premium subscriptions because there's not enough people locally for them to use it for. Now, if we had a million users and we monetized it, we could probably monetize about 10% of those people.
Hmm.
And sure, maybe make about $100,000 in revenue. That would interest investors. That would get them going. But how do you get to that point?
Hmm.
It's almost impossible unless you have a very famous person tweet that they used Spinner to meet new people. All of a sudden, Kim Kardashian's meeting, and now you got like a million people joining the app. There you go. That's how
Yeah.
you do it. But we don't know these famous people, and neither do you probably. So how do you do it, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, with B2B, it's a little easier in one way. You don't need a million users anymore.
Yeah.
You need 100 customers. So it's harder because now you need money from them up front, a lot of money, and for a service, but you don't need to find a million users anymore. So that kind of pressure goes away, and now you're like,
Hmm.
okay, I have a goal now. I need revenue. The consumer app is not about revenue, it's about user growth, user acquisition. And if you get to a million users, if you're lucky enough, you'll get money. Then you can
Hmm.
monetize it and you're good to go. That's what Tinder did. That's what Facebook did. That's what every app in the world has ever done. It's free, 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 free. They get investment money poured in. They always get millions of dollars poured in. They grow. And then 5 years later, you see now Tinder or whatever app costs $20 a month. And,
Right.
and people pay it, right? And that's how they did it, right? But it's hard to do that if you don't have those millions of dollars up front like they all did, Snapchat included. All these apps had millions of dollars right from the get go. That's what people don't understand.
Mm.
With B2B, it is harder because you have to now sell to people. But once you get those sales, you don't need that many of them.
Yeah.
You just don't. You need like 100 people to pay for your service, and you got revenue to keep your company running or get investment money.
Right. And businesses spend money, and when they spend money, it's on something that they need.
Correct.
So what's the what's the feedback like from a business versus the feedback you got from consumers?
That's really good as well. That's a great question too, because it's two different things, right?
Yeah.
I think from my experience that the feedback we were getting for Spinner, the consumer app, was more about the user experience. It was
Mm-hmm.
more about the feeling they got from using the app, interacting with the community, and making new friends. That was kind of the feedback. I was like, what's the experience like?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On the B2B side for Vengo, it's totally different. It's more like, how is this helping my business make money?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the user experience, although that's part of it, of course.
Yeah.
We made the user experience very easy for them, unlike other AIs, very difficult, or big companies like Intercom, HubSpot, Salesforce are very complicated to use. They come with 500 features. AI is just one of those 500, so it's very hard to use. We made
Mm-hmm.
the AI the only feature, drag and drop, easy, one line of code. You put it on your website, it's done. You got your sales
Yeah.
lead. So it's more about how is this helping your business bring more leads in? How is it helping you connect to your customers better than just having a contact form or
Yeah.
FAQs on your website? Nobody wants to read through 100 FAQs. Nobody wants to fill out a contact form, but they will talk to your AI chat as if it's you and even talking to them with voice because we have voice chat. So it's like a real conversation with somebody on your HVAC website or your roofing website or your law firm or your financial company, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is,
Yeah.
a salon. How many times do people call your salon all day long saying, how much does it cost for nails or for hair? Have your AI answer those questions and have your AI book those meetings for you. That's what we're doing. We're eliminating those questions that you're getting 70,000 times a day. And that's kind of the gist of what we're hearing from our customers is that
Mm-hmm.
that's what they were looking for. They were looking for that missing link on how to get rid of all those questions they were getting.
So I know we're using AI a lot. So let's talk about AI a little bit because I love the concept of what you're talking about, but I'm also thinking about the person going into the website. So even though everyone loves AI, there's fear of AI. What's it going to do? So what is it like for the people, the companies that are using your platform? Is there a fear that people coming into the site are going to feel like they're not talking to a real human?
Well, I mean, it shows you right off the bat that it's AI. I mean, you know that it's AI, and we're actually building a feature in the future, not right this second, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not something that we can focus on right now, that'll allow you to transfer the conversation to the CEO. But for
Okay.
now, or the business owner. For now, we're letting them book the meetings. So it'll say, here's the link to the calendar, click on it and book a meeting. But you also get that conversation summary that shows the name, email, and phone number. So if you're a good business owner, you're going to call them immediately and
Mm.
you're going to close that deal. Um, I actually found a lot of statistics on this that millennials, Gen Z, even, boomers and Gen X, these people are actually using AI to talk more so than they were before. They're okay
Mm-hmm.
with it. They actually like it. I think part of it is they feel like two things. Maybe one, it's like the novelty of it. Oh, I'm talking to an AI. This is cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they haven't been able to before, which should also give that business a little bit of an edge.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're looking for, new carpets for your house, and there's 10 carpet companies on Google, and you click on one, and an AI starts talking to you and immediately asking, well, what color do you want? What design do you want? What color is your house? Oh, I think this pattern would go with, and it's really helping you come up with the answers. You're probably going to go with that company versus the one that has nothing on their website, just
True.
FAQ.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one. Number two, I'm finding that they've heard of AI. They've seen the ads, they keep hearing it in the news nonstop, but they've never talked to one. They've never
Mm.
used ChatGPT, they're afraid. So this time you're like, oh, so this is what it's like. It's not so bad.
Mm.
And that kind of it's kind of like the entrance, the doorway opening into AI for them. So we feel like that's another way of looking at it. And I feel like it's gonna. I mean, either way, you have to get on the train because it's already left the station, right? So
Yeah, for
you
sure.
got to get on board.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. So let's just switch a little bit. So entrepreneurship can take a toll on people emotionally and mentally, and you've been an entrepreneur forever. How do you manage the inevitable self-doubt and burnout of the journey?
Take a nice deep breath, right?
Because you know it's gonna happen, right?
Take a lot of deep breaths. You have to be patient. One of the things that I tell my co-founders all the time, I was just talking about this yesterday with them. It was a long conversation about how I take a lot of breaks to do things that take my mind off of work. It's a long list of things.
Mm.
yoga, meditation, going for walks, exercising in my gym, hanging out with my dog, watching movies, playing video games, playing music, piano, violin, hanging out with my friends and family, going out to eat with my girlfriend, planning date nights. Like, I really do appreciate a work-life balance. There was a time in my life where I was definitely burning the candle at both ends, doing the 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I was doing it.
Mm,
And all that did was burn me out. It's all it did. It didn't help me succeed any faster. It didn't help me get anywhere. It just burned me out. So
mm,
I don't do that anymore. I am very consistent about working for a certain amount of time, taking a break, working, taking a break. And at a certain time of the day, my phone goes on do not disturb.
mm-hmm.
It's you want to get a hold of me, you better call me because I'm not going to see your messages. Social media gets shut off. I love
Mm,
the new feature on the iPhone that literally lets you shut off the phone and only allow certain apps to be visible,
yeah,
personal mode. And I use that. And people want to know why I don't respond to their social media after 4 p.m. because I need a break. I need to clear my
yeah,
mind. So you have to do that. And there's people out there, I've talked to them that don't do that. They say, no, no,
yeah,
no, I'm always on. I'm always on I'm always thinking. I'm like, you can think all you want, but you have to stop working on your
yeah.
stuff. You're going to kill yourself. So that's my philosophy behind it.
I love that. And I totally agree with you. I went through a phase in my life where I was the same way. I was just go, 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 go all the time. And then I went through a health scare that
Mm,
really just taught me to like, I don't know for an entrepreneur if there is like a full work-life balance, but I do agree with you. There is a time to just shut yourself off,
yeah.
right? Like for me, I do the same thing as you with the phone, but it's after 10 p.m. I don't want to be disturbed. I want my brain to start like winding down so I can relax. Because sleep for me is like something that's super important. I need to
Yeah.
get 7 to 8 hours of sleep or else
Same.
forget it. I'm not working. You don't want to
Same.
be near me the next day. So everyone has sort of like their go-tos or what works for them. But I do believe I do agree with you where it's like you have to just sort of shut off for a little bit to let your brain just relax. And I think
Yeah.
that's part of it. It's just like shutting your brain off a little bit.
100%. I mean, if you don't, you're not going to be happy. You're going to get
Mm-hmm.
depressed. You're going to get tired. Like you said, I found myself at one point resenting entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and contemplating going back to the corporate world because, I have an IT degree. I can be working at Google,
Yeah.
or I actually interviewed at Google in 2015. So, sometimes I think about that. I'm like, is it really worth sacrificing the paycheck for the dream? It is not if you're burning yourself out.
Yeah.
You
But
have to do both.
but I think that burnout comes from obviously a couple of different places, but I feel, and maybe I'm wrong, we can talk about this a little bit. Like I think a lot of the entrepreneurs that I meet, they're like, I have a fantastic idea. Yeah, I'm going to go into entrepreneurship because this is a great idea. I mean, I went through that with one of my products. I'm like, we were ahead of our time. We're like, nobody's doing this. We're going to like build it and make $1 million. That totally did not happen. But a lot of entrepreneurs go into it not realizing that it's not just about having an idea, it's about running a business. You're not going into it for a hobby unless you have a full-time job and you're just doing this on the side. If you're committing to be an entrepreneur and do this full-time, like you're running a business and there's all this other stuff that comes along with it: accounting, marketing, sales, revenue, HR. And I don't think enough people think about that because they're so passionate about, I have this fantastic idea. Do you see it the same way or do you think it's different?
That's exactly how I see it. And you said something halfway through. You said, unless you're building it on the side while you have a job.
Yeah.
That's the number one recommendation I will give anybody today is if you have
Yep.
this amazing idea, build it on nights and weekends after your job, build it slowly. And if it's going to make you money at some point, your goal should be to make as much money in your new business as you're making at your job so you can then quit and then focus on it full time. Don't
Yeah.
do it the other way around. You're going to be very, very disappointed.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I could talk about this with you forever, but we are running out of time. So before we wrap up, I just want to ask, as someone who's deeply involved in tech innovation, where do you see the intersection of technology and human connection heading in the next decade with
It's a
all
great,
the AI stuff going on?
yeah, it's a great question, and I think about it all the time because
Mm-hmm.
I'm, like you said, I'm deeply invested in both worlds. And I also write a lot because I write screenplays and I do movies. So I always think about what could be happening in the future. And I've talked a lot about this in the past that we're definitely headed in the direction of AI agents talking to other AI agents. Or we could just call them just AI.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Sonia, your AI is going to talk to my AI and they're going to make plans for us,
I
and
like
they're going to,
I kind of like this.
and they're going
Kind
to
of like
say,
my clone.
yeah, like your clone is gonna reach out to mine and say, don't forget it's Sonia's birthday tomorrow. I heard her talking about wanting a new speaker set for her computer, for her gaming computer. You should probably get her this headset too.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have had no idea, right? But
All
your
right.
AI told my AI, and then my AI tells me, hey Jason, it's Sonia's birthday. I heard from the grapevine that she wants this Hello Kitty pink headphones or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's gonna be like the future is like AIs, but
Yeah.
not just that, having this new agentic platform that's happening where AIs will talk to each other to complete tasks for you without your intervention. So one
Mm.
AI will do the accounting that morning. The next AI will do your marketing for you. The next one will do your video processing. The next one is going to, edit your podcast. You wake up in the morning and all those tasks are already done. You didn't do anything. They did it for you because that's what they're built for. The next thing we're going to see, and this is probably going to happen in our lifetimes, are going to be the fact that AGI, artificial general intelligence, is going to surpass human intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The singularity will happen. These AI will be so powerful and so smart that they will cure every disease we have. They'll figure out how to help us travel faster than light to get to other solar systems quicker. We'll be able to get to Mars in, a minute versus a month. And because I think they have a new engine that can go a month. It used to be 7 months. And
Mm-hmm.
then we're also going to see robotics. So we're going to have like these personal AI companions to do our grocery shopping, walk our dogs, do our laundry, clean our house. If you're too old to walk, it'll help you walk, those types of things. And we're going to see those. It's going to happen. It's very close to happening. And once that happens, things are going to be drastically different. We've seen the
Mm-hmm.
movies, right? We've seen the
Mm-hmm.
movies. We know what could happen, right?
Yeah.
We could become obsolete meat sacks. We don't know yet. Are we plugged into the matrix? Who knows? We will find out. But it's exciting to see what's going to happen in the future for sure.
But do you think AI is going to fully replace us, or is AI there to be a companion or, something that helps us in our everyday lives, but it's not fully going to replace us?
The reason why I don't think it's going to replace us, and that might be wrong 50 years from
Mm-hmm.
now, who knows?
Yeah.
But the reason why I think that they're not going to is because I keep finding the limitations
Yeah.
where me as the human, I have to creatively intervene.
Yeah.
And that's the part that kind of keeps me thinking AI is a tool. I am the operator of that tool.
Yeah.
Without the operator, the tool can't do anything.
Can't do anything.
But once they become autonomous and they no longer need our intervention, that's what I'm talking about with the future.
Yeah.
They may not need us anymore. They may be able to build their own factories and their own robots and their own kind of procedures and laws and systems. But
Yeah.
until then, you know, an AI can copy Da Vinci and Van Gogh, but it can't create its own art. It has
Mm.
to imitate. It's a great imitator. It's not a good
Yeah.
creator. We're the creators. And
Yeah. I
that's
like
why I
that.
think that it's really hard to replace us
Yeah.
yet. Maybe in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, I think like maybe 100, two
Yeah,
hundred years when
sure.
it's had enough time to like
Yes.
really learn. Because obviously AI has way faster learning capacity than we do. So
Yep.
yeah, it probably at some point will surpass us, but we can't take away from the fact that humans built AI and it does
Right.
need that intervention now. Where it goes, who knows, right? It could be a Hollywood movie. You're absolutely right. But it's still such an
Let's hope
excitement.
not.
Yeah, I know, right? But it is an exciting place to be to witness
It is.
all of this come to fruition, and where is it going to go, and seeing all the capabilities and robots being built, and
It's
you know what I
amazing.
mean? Like it's something that as children we would watch that cartoon, The Jetsons, and think, oh, the year 2000, we're going to have flying cars. Listen, we don't have flying cars yet,
Self-driving cars,
so
self-driving cars.
self-driving, but not flying. We all
We
wanted
have
flying
flying car.
cars, okay?
There are flying cars. We've seen them on, online, but they're not available to us peasants yet. But
No,
they're
no,
they're
they're
two
not
hundred
on the
fifty thousand
roads.
dollars.
Yeah, but we don't have infrastructure for
Yeah,
them. Like,
yeah.
I think when I see a flying car is when I'm gonna be like, we're in the future.
We got the drones, right? We got the drones.
Yeah,
We got the
yeah,
drones and the self-driving cars. I mean, the way I look at it, you see my back behind me. I've been living technology my whole life.
yeah, I can tell.
I've been living in these sci-fi futuristic worlds my whole life, and now I keep telling people we are living in that future now. It's what we're living
Mm,
in. Spaceships we have,
yep,
internet, smartphone computers, just like Star Trek, and now AI. That's every movie we've ever seen. We're
yeah,
we're living literally in a sci-fi future. People need to recognize that.
yeah, love it. Well, Jason, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation with you.
A lot of fun.
Best of luck with Vengo AI. Thank you
Thank you.
for coming on today.
A lot of fun.
That was an amazing conversation. Jason, thank you for joining me today. You have given us so much to think about, from navigating the growing pains of entrepreneurship to embracing the power of AI to foster meaningful connections. Your journey is a testament to the resilience, adaptability, and vision it takes to thrive as a founder in today's ever changing world. And that's a wrap. To our listeners, thank you for joining me on this journey of learning, growth, and inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform and connect with our community on social media. I'd love to hear your feedback, so leave a review and let me know what topics you'd want to explore in future episodes. Remember, the future belongs to those who embrace challenges, adapt with tenacity, and keep pushing forward. Keep growing, keep pivoting, and most importantly, stay tenacious in your pursuits. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to bringing you more insightful conversations in our upcoming episodes. This is Sonia signing off, but as always, keep chasing your dreams with tenacity.